Hello everybody, how you guys doing? Back again, Ted E. fame, former member of Tony Williams Platters, from 1982 to 1992. I'm back again with another episode of the endeavors that went on behind stage about the career of the Platters, things you never heard about before. Well, this episode is going to be entitled, "What happened to Tony Williams' voice?" Right. I'm sure a lot of people want to answer that question. Well, let's kick into it and let's see if I can answer it for you. Once again, I'm going to remind you guys that I'm a former member of Tony Williams Platters. That was the last group he had that he toured with before he died for the last 10 years of his life. So I was the second tenor in the group. It was Tony, then it was Helen, his wife, the female, and then I'm in the middle. I'm the tall, skinny guy in the middle, and then I'm second tenor, and then the baritone and the bass. So that's the 5 members of the Platters, and I'm in the middle. I'm always in the middle. From 1982 to 1992, that guy who's singing in the middle, that's me. So let's get with it. So 1982 is when I first joined the Platters. And at our first rehearsal, I was shocked when I heard Tony sing. I was like, damn, what happened to his voice? But it wasn't long before I understood what happened. Remember, I was 22 years old when I joined that group, right? I'm 61 years old now. I sound even better than I did back then with, taking care of my voice and everything. Your voice is an instrument, like a piano or a guitar. The only difference is with a piano, if it goes out of tune, you retune it. A guitar, you break a string, you replace it. Your voice, you can't do either one of those. Your voice starts messing up, you can't retune it, you can't replace it. It's usually down here from there, and it's only a matter of time before your voice is shot. I say it only takes like 5 to 10 years, really, for your voice to become really shot. And if you remember, Tony was at his height from 1955 to 1960. And you hadn't really heard too much music from Tony in the 1960s. And then when they really put the group back together in the early 70s, his voice was already gone by then. And I'll get into that more. But it was already gone by then. Moving on. Boy, just thinking about that, had me flashbacks, right? The first thing I noticed with Tony was that he still had a drinking problem. And he was a heavy cigarette smoker. He liked to smoke those little skinny imported cigarettes. I even got the name of them. Looked like little cigar cigarettes. He loved those things. He always had those in his mouth smoking them, And those are 2 of the worst habits a singer can have. Because over time, it just deteriorates your voice. It just goes left field. And it's irreversible once that happens. So that's a shot. As far as Tony's health was concerned, I know he had emphysema from smoking so much. He had some kidney problems, and he had a mild stroke. I'm sure there was some other things that I wasn't privy to, but those are things I didn't know he had. Like I said, a lot of times when we come off a tour, he would be checked into a hospital for like a week or 2. So I didn't notice that going on. I'm gonna tell you the truth, man. There was times where Tony sounded so great, and then there was times where, Jesus Christ, he sounded terrible. I mean, people in the audience would sometimes complain and get up and leave. There was a few times where the club owner wouldn't even pay us because Tony was so bad. Come to think about it now, I can understand why they brought a 22-year-old kid into the group. It was my energy. I brought all this energy and this hype that gave the group a little bit more spark. You know, and my energy as a 22-year-old, man, I was like all over the place. But tell you the truth, I was even born when the Platters was at their height, when they was really famous. Shit, I wasn't born until like 1959, so it was the last year of their height when I was born. So, you know, I didn't know anything about the Platters, right? And if you look at any of those videos or pictures of me in the group at the time, you'll see what I mean. When on tour, people would ask me if I was like Tony Williams' son or something because I was too young to actually be an original member of the group. Tony would call me his prodigy, like, and when I was singing solo songs, Tony would be sitting on stage, in the back on the stage, and watching me perform. People would tell me while I'm performing, Tony's face would light up and he was smiling and watching me the whole time I was performing. But you know, I'm looking out at the audience and I'm doing my thing. I wasn't looking back at Tony, so I never really saw him like watching me. I never knew that, you know, but people would tell me that after the show, they was watching the performance, man, you should have saw the way Tony was looking at you. He had this great smile on his face and he was just watching you sing and go over the place. Man, that really made me feel good, you know, to hear that. You know, it made me feel really good, you know. So I'm happy to know that he enjoyed that. But like I said, I know from my performance, there were shows that we were offered just because of my performance. And I'm being honest, because I was, at that time, I was lighting it up, man. I was putting it down, you know. And it was other nights when, you know, Tony was so bad, man. I was so embarrassed to be on stage. I just wanted to crawl like a rock and just hide in the corner. It was just terrible. You know, he shouldn't have been singing at that point. We're talking about the late 80s now. You know, about the last 3, 4 years of his life. He should have been singing then. But his wife was the new manager then, and she saw money. She saw dollar signs. And you know what they said about that, man? Nothing else mattered when you seen dollar signs. But I got a little, before I end this, I'm almost finished, but before I end this, I got a little secret I'm going to tell you guys about the night Tony died that nobody knows about. Only his wife, and now me, because she shared this information with me after he died. She said, they went to bed the night before, like usual, you know, and went to sleep. But when she woke up the next morning, Tony wouldn't respond to her. And when she reached over and touched him, his body was cold. And she knew right then he was gone. You know, they called the hospital. People came over, pronounced him dead. People from the mall came over and took his body. I wasn't at the house at that time. I was out doing my own thing at that time. I had just came, and I hadn't come back to America till 2000, and he died in 92. So once I left the group, you know, I was gone for at least 8 years before I saw Helen again. So she told me all these stories then, you know. But, you know, it's sad, but it shows you how delicate life is and how important it is to take care of yourself, especially when you got a gift that people love. You know, Tony could have went down in history and had a longer career, more hits, even after the Platters, because he was the Platters. His voice, nobody remembers none of that background stuff, or they remember that voice. You know, so he could have had a great solo career after the Platters, but his addictions prevented that from happening. All right, so I'm going to end this particular episode of my vlog, podcast, on my stories about the Platters. I'll be back with another story. I'm writing it now. I'm writing a lot of stories. All this stuff coming back to memory, so I'm just putting it down on paper, and I'm regurgitating it and telling you all the stuff here is still here. So I got a lot of great memories. So I'll be back again. So what I want you guys to do, if you enjoy my videos, I would like for you to hit the like button please subscribe. I need to get subscribers to my channel. So please subscribe. And if you want to share with other people, Platters fans, or people who enjoy the Platters music, I'm sure there's a lot of people who would love to hear some of these little stories back about the group, personal stories that they would never know about. I'm sure people would like to hear that. So anyway, Teddy Fame, former member of Tony Williams Platters, saying bye-bye, and I'll be back, and I'll see you again. Have a nice day. Peace.